Depression makes us biologically older. Depression can make us physically older by speeding up the aging process in our cells, according to a study. Lab tests show cells look biologically older in people who were severely depressed or who had been in the past. These visible differences in the measure of cell aging, called telomere length, couldn't be explained by other factors, such as whether a person smoked. The findings in more than 2,000 people appear in Molecular Psychiatry. Experts already know that people with major depression are at increased risk of age-related diseases such as cancer, diabetes, obesity, and heart disease. This might be partly down to unhealthy lifestyle behaviors such as alcohol use and physical inactivity. But scientists suspect depression takes its own toll on our cells. To investigate, Justin Verhoeven from the VU University Medical Center in the Netherlands, along with colleagues from the U.S., recruited 2,407 people to take part in the study. More than one-third of the volunteers were currently depressed. A third had experienced major depression in the past, and the rest had never been depressed. The volunteers were asked to give a blood sample for the researchers to analyze in the lab for signs of cellular aging. The researchers were looking for changes in structures deep inside cells called telomeres. Telomeres cap the end of our chromosomes, which are our DNA. Their job is to stop any unwanted loss of this vital genetic code. As cells divide, the telomeres get shorter and shorter. Measuring their length is a way of assessing cellular aging. People who were or have been depressed had much shorter telomeres than those who had never experienced depression. This difference was apparent even after lifestyle differences, such as heavy drinking and smoking, were taken into account. Furthermore, the most severely and chronically depressed patient had the shortest telomeres. Dr. Verhoeven and colleagues speculate that shorter telomeres are a consequence of the body's reaction to the distress depression causes. This large-scale study provides convincing evidence that depression is associated with several years of biological aging, especially among those with the most severe and chronic symptoms, they say. But it is unclear whether this aging process is harmful and if it can be reversed. UK expert Dr. Anna Phillips of the University of Birmingham has researched the effect of stress on telomere length. She says telomere length does not consistently predict other key outcomes such as death risk. Further, it is likely that only a major depressive disorder, not experience of or even a lifetime of mild to moderate depressive symptoms, relates to telomere length, she said. The last one is Freak Space Rock Spin's Dusty Trail. The Hubble telescope has spotted an asteroid radiating 6 comet-like tails, making it resemble a rotating lawn sprinkler. Other asteroids appear as tiny points to light to astronomers who are puzzled by the outburst of dust. Asteroid P2013P5 has been ejecting dust periodically for at least 5 months and may be in the process of breaking up. They have outlined details in the journal Astrophysical Journal letters. We are literally dumbfounded when we saw it, said Professor Dave Jewett from the University of California at Los Angeles. Even more amazing, Its tail structure changed dramatically in just 13 days as it belches out dust. That also caught us by surprise. It's hard to believe we are looking at an asteroid. Astronomers said it's possible the asteroid's rotation rate increased to the point where its surface started flying apart. A radiation pressure from the sun could have sent the space rock spinning to a point where the asteroid's weak gravity could no longer hold it together. Astronomers will continue observing P2013 P5 to see whether the dust leaves the asteroid in the equatorial plane. Because of the physics involved in the spin rate theory, say the astronomers, this would provide strong evidence for a rotational breakup. They do not believe the tails are the result of an impact with another asteroid, because they have not seen a large quantity of dust blasted in space at once. Astronomers discovered the object in August using the Pan-STARRS telescope in Hawaii. At the time, P2013 P5 looked unusually fuzzy. The multiple tails were discovered when Hubble was used to take a more detailed image on 10 September. Next, Northampton woman writes thank you letter to burglars. A woman has written a thank you letter to the burglars who broke into her house and apologized for not having particularly expensive tests. Kate Barrett, 36, wrote that she and her partner, Dan Owens, were disappointed the thieves had ignored her VHS video and cassette collection. Miss Barrett stuck the letter to the back door of the Northampton home she shared with Mr. Owens. The burglars smashed through the door on Sunday evening. The couple were both away at the weekend, and Miss Barrett, who works as a communication officer, got home first to discover the ransacked house. Mr. Owens, 34, said, "I'd gone to my parents for the weekend while Kate went to London to watch the Strictly Come Dancing live show. She called and I came straight over, and the place had been ransacked. The burglars had gone through every room, but there wasn't too much tech. Some cash, a camera, an iPod, but nothing too major." He added, "I think they were planning to go out the front door with the telly, but luckily the spare key doesn't work. She's a big hoarder and has all these old tapes and videos from way back when, and they are welcome to those." The thieves broke in by climbing the garden wall and smashing through the patio door. Northamptonshire Police said officers are investigating the burglary and appeal for witnesses to come forward. Here's the note to burglars. "Dear burglars, thanks for popping by the other night, and we are sorry we didn't have more for you to take. As you now know, we don't have particularly expensive tests, so there's no need to come in again, unless you would like to take my collection of VHS videos and cassettes. Dan is very disappointed you didn't take these first time round. If you would like them, just knock on the front door and ask. No need to break another patio door, as it's dreadfully hard work cleaning up all the glass. Thanks for all the fingerprint. We really appreciate those. Lots of love, Kate and Dan. Next, Hamza Khan. Minister attacks Starboy review findings. The government has strongly criticized the report that said a 4-year-old boy starved to death after being let down by national systems. Hamza Khan's body was found in his Bradford home in 2011, almost 2 years after he died. His mother, Amanda Hutton, 43, was jailed for 15 years last month after being found guilty for manslaughter. Children's Minister Albert Timpson said the report did not explain why changes to protect Hamza were missed. He said he had deep concerns about the serious case review because it fails to explain sufficiently clearly what actions social workers took when problems in the Khan family were brought to their attention. He said the answer to the glaring absences from the review must be made public to ensure such mistakes will not be repeated in the future. Professor Nick Frost, chairman of Bradford Safeguarding Children Board, said the review was very clear that Hamza's death could not have been predicted. He said he found that system, many of them national systems, let Hamza down, both before and following his death. He added, I cannot give assurance that a tragedy like this will never happen again. Bradford Council said national systems included procedures in place by services such as education and health. During his life, Hamza missed a series of appointments at hospital with health visitor and GPS, and he did not receive routine immunizations. The child should have started primary school in September 2010, a year before his body was found, but his mother answered questions about his absence by claiming he was in Portsmouth with an uncle. The report stated, there are important questions for local and national policies in regard to how many of the systems for the universal health care and education of children rely on parents registering their children for such routine services. It added, the absence of clear disclosures or nothing information such as the failure to attend immunizations as a source of harmful behavior rather than isolated incident contributed to the lack of assertive and proactive approach in the case. Responding to Mr. Timpson's criticism, Kath Tunstall, strategic director of Children's Services in Bradford, said there was absolutely no attempt to whitewash. She added, we are determined to improve. We are constantly wanting to learn and improve. If the minister is going to assist us with that by asking more challenging questions, then we welcome that. The report said the theme of the case review was the extent to which Hamza was unknown and invisible to services throughout his short life. It added that Hamza was invisible to services largely because neither of his parents participated in the routine processes. The NSPCC's head of policy, David Tucker, said, I have never heard before in any serious case review of a child being so completely lost. During Hutton's trial before Crown Court, heard how the mother of Ed was living in breathtakingly awful conditions with 5 of her young children as well as Hamza's mummified remains. The boy's body was found after a police community support officer became concerned about children at the house while she was investigating reports of soiled nappies being thrown into a neighbor's garden. Officers who later found Hamza were also faced with an overwhelming smell coming from ankle-deep rubbish in the house, including vodka bottles and rotting food. The court was told the family was known to all the main agencies, yet Hutton had a history of failing to cooperate with services that could have helped her. Hamza missed a serious appointment at hospital with health visitors and GPS, and he did not receive routine immunizations. The court heard. Frost stressed that it was Hutton who was responsible for Hamza's death. He said, "In my 35 years of involvement in children's services, I have never come across a case that can even be compared to this one." He said there was a unique combination of events: a mother who was determined not to cooperate even with the most necessary and essential of services. He said Hutton had managed to mislead professionals and relatives about the whereabouts of Hamza. Nancy Palmer, independent chairwoman of the Serious Case Review, said, "It is important to be clear that Hamza died because he was neglected by his mother." She added the panel concluded information known to agencies at the time does not suggest that Hamza's death was a predictable event. Next, former Australian Prime Minister Kevin Rudd quit politics. Former Australian leader Kevin Rudd has announced his retirement from politics. In an emotional speech, the former Labour Party leader said he had not arrived at the decision lightly. But Mr. Rudd, who served as a Prime Minister twice, attributed the decision to his family and said it had been an honor to lead the nation. And Mr. Rudd led Labour into the 7 September general election, which saw the Liberal National Coalition of Tony Abbott elected. In a speech to a parliament on Wednesday night, Mr. Rudd said his decision had been the product of much soul-searching with his family over the last few months. But for me, my family is everything, always has been, always will be, which is why I will not be continuing as a member of this parliament beyond this week, he said. Mr. Rudd, 56, also wished Mr. Abbott well, saying that being Prime Minister was the hardest job in the land. He added that despite hurtful statements that had been made, he bore no one any malice. "Life is far too short for that," Mr. Rudd said. Mr. Rudd said his future plans included establishing a National Apology Foundation in connection with his apology to Indigenous Australians, which he said was one of his biggest achievements as a Prime Minister. He also said he intended to remain active in the international community in areas that included global economic governance, China, and climate change. He ended his speech by saying, "On this final occasion in this Parliament, and as is now officially recorded in the classics for occasions such as this, it really is time for me to zip." Mr. Rudd first became Prime Minister in 2007 and proved popular with the public. But amid controversies over a shelved emissions trading scheme and an unpopular mining tax, his party key factions, of which were said to dislike him deeply, moved against him, and he was ousted by his deputy, Julia Gillard. But that move triggered a backlash, and Mr. Rudd remained popular with voters. In June 2013, with a general election looming and support for Labour plummeting, he won a leadership challenge against Mrs. Gillard and became Prime Minister weeks before the polls. But a month of bitter infighting had caused the Labour Party support, and his government lost the election. After the polls, he faced calls from within his party to step down, drawing a permanent line under the previous turmoil. Mr. Abbott paid tribute to Mr. Rudd, describing him as one of the big figures in this parliament and a leading figure in Australian public life over the best part of 2 decades. He added he was confident that one way or another he will continue to serve our country. Next, Clinton. Obama should honor healthcare commitment. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton says President Barack Obama should find a way to let Americans keep their health coverage under his health law. Insurance companies have canceled numerous policies that do not meet the law's strict requirements, even though Mr. Obama initially pledged otherwise. Mr. Clinton said his fellow Democrats should honor his commitment even if it means changing the law. Republicans seized on Mr. Clinton's comment. In addition to the canceled insurance policy, the federal website established under the law, which allows consumers to shop for private health insurance plans, has been plagued by glitches. Mr. Clinton campaigned for the Affordable Care Act, but now he is the latest politician to speak out against it. I personally believe, even if it takes a change in the law, that the president should honor a commitment the federal government made to those people and let them keep what they've got, Mr. Clinton said in an interview published on Tuesday. The former president, who is a Democrat, like Mr. Obama, they reaffirmed his support for the healthcare law, saying the big lesson is we are better off with this program than we are without it. His comment comes just days after Mr. Obama apologized to those people whose policies have been canceled under his health care overhaul, now widely known as Obamacare. I'm sorry that they are finding themselves in this situation based on assurances they've got from me, he said in an interview with NBC News on 8 November. We didn't do a good enough job in terms of how we crafted the law, he added. We've got to work hard to make sure that they know we hear them. and we are going to do everything we can to deal with folks who find themselves in a tough position as a consequence of this. On Tuesday, White House spokesman Jay Carney said the president was exploring possible administrative action. The president has tasked his team with looking at a range of options, Mr. Carney said. Republicans who have fought the president's health care law at every turn seized on Mr. Clinton's comment, claiming that signified growing recognition that Americans were misled. The entire health care law is a train wreck that needs to go. House Speaker John Boehner said a format of words often used in Republican attacks on the law. While the two parties may disagree on the point, it shouldn't stop reasonable Democrats from working with us to shield Americans from its most egregious consequences, like the millions of current health plans being cancelled, he added. The House of Representatives is expected to consider Republican-sponsored legislation later this week that will allow consumers to keep their coverage. The White House has said it is against the proposal, which would allow insurers to continue selling medical coverage that does not offer the level of benefit required under the law. Any fix that would essentially open up for insurers the ability to sell new plans that do not meet standards would create more problems than it fixed, said Mr. Carney. Next, Facebook protects users following Adobe hack attack. Facebook has an act to protect users it suspects have been compromised by the recent theft of Adobe logins. The social network is asking those identified to answer security questions before granting them access. Online retailers Diapers.com and Soap.com are among other sites to have tried to pinpoint members who use the same email password combinations. Adobe said in October that details from at least 38 million accounts had been stolen in a security breach. The software firm, which makes Photoshop and a Flash plugin, had encrypted the account's password, but not their usernames or password hint. Security researchers have since demonstrated that this information could be used to expose at least some of the Adobe account holders' details. News of the protective steps being taken by Facebook were first reported by investigative reporter Brian Krebs on his blog. The firm has since confirmed to the BBC that the details are accurate. Affected members are presented with a message warning that their account may have been accessed by someone else following the attack on Adobe. Facebook was not directly affected by the incident, but your Facebook account is at risk because you were using the same password in both places, it states. To secure your account, you will need to answer a few questions and change your password. For your protection, no one can see you on Facebook until you finish. Chris Long, a member of Facebook's security team, said it had developed an automatic process to tackle situations like this. It works by taking the Adobe password that third-party researchers had managed to unencrypt and running them through the hashing code used by Facebook to protect its own logins. Hashing involves using an algorithm to convert a plain text password into an unrecognizable string of characters. Utilizing the tool means the service does not need to keep a record of the password in its original form. Although the process is designed to be irreversible, meaning a hacker should not be able to reverse engineer the technique to expose the credentials. It does have the same effect each time, meaning the same original entry would always result in the same hashed code. Facebook took advantage of this to scan through its own records to see which of its users' hash passwords match those of adults and have overlapping email addresses. Through practice, we've become more efficient and effective at protecting accounts with credentials that have been leaked, said Mr. Long. The details have coincided with news of a fresh hack attack. The latest target was MacRumors.com, a site used to discuss leaks and speculation about future Apple products. The site's administrator, Arnold Kim, has suggested its 860,000 users change their logins both for their website and any other services where they use matching credentials. Although MacRumors had hashed the logins, Mr. Kim acknowledged the process used as not strong, so assume your password can be determined with time. One expert said that this breach should be a wake-up call to anyone still using identical logins for different services. Users have two options, said Mikko Hipponen, Chief Research Officer at Security Advisor F-Secure. Either remember a variety of passwords or use a password management tool, software that manages your passwords for you so you only need to remember one master password for the tool, and it then recalls and enters the credentials for you. I recommend the latter.